Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading, and my name is Megan. For anyone that's new here, I'm so glad that you stopped by because today is my weekly backyard garden tour and harvest, and I have been very busy back there and I can't wait to share with you all. Now for anyone that's new here, I am in growing zone 8B Central Alabama, which means I do have a longer growing season, and because of that, thankfully, I still have tomatoes and peppers and green beans that I'm harvesting while having the fall garden grow at the same time, which is just really exciting for me, and I'm enjoying every little bit of it. But I'm also planning for the winter garden as well. And with regards to my winter garden, last year I did invest in some hoops for my raised beds, and then I pre-cut some frost covers to fit them. Now I'm not sure which raised beds I plan to use for the winter garden. I know for sure the 2 wood beds I'm going to, and I'm not sure about the pallets or the bags in the back or even some of my green stalks, but I do want to grow throughout the winter because my goal is to grow food year round as much as I can. So when we go back there, I will show you a few things or some of the plans that I have for my winter garden. And also I was just thinking with regards to seed starts for the winter, while I do have some on these racks outside and I plan to continue to use these, if the frost hits, I will bring these inside or try to use these up because they've been acclimated to the outdoors already. But if I need to start some inside, I do have a seed starting set up inside. I will start them and then I will try to get them acclimated during the day when there's sun outside, and then try to slowly transition them under the frost covers. All right, let's go back in the garden now. Before we do go in the back, these green stalks right here, I will more than likely grow in these during the winter time. Not all the green stalks am I going to be growing in the winter because I am growing garlic and some other things that are designated for specific things, but these are 2 of my seasonal where I just grow whatever's in season. So right now I have all of my fall stuff minus the peppers because they're just, they're just doing so good right here. And then this one that has a bunch of lettuce, and I do have some mint on top, but I will more than likely grow in the winter time with these because green stalk does make and sell frost covers, and I bought some a few years ago and I really like them. So I'm probably going to grow out of these, especially because it's right by my door, so I can just come right out, unzip the frost cover and harvest whatever I need. By the way, friends, look at this cabbage on top. So I strategically, by the way, I know this is not a green stalk video, but I just want to point this out. With this green stalk, I strategically put the cabbage on the very top tier. Not that it wouldn't probably do good right here, I'm sure it would. I just felt like this would give it a little bit more space, and so far I'm really liking it. This one's doing good, and so is this one. And then you guys look at this collard. It is massively big. It is doing so good. And I also want to point out, so this is the Amaranth Pink Beauty. This is growing in the wood bed. I planted this way before the one in the wood bed, so this one's a little bit more established, but look at how beautiful this pink is. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really happy that I tried growing this year. So far I'm really liking it. I'm loving how all the leaves are producing on the sides. There's like side shoots and everything. So I just wanted to quickly show this to you because I am growing this, like I said, up there, but it's not as established as these 2 are. All right, friends, so we are back here. I have been doing so much cleaning, you guys. I actually even went into some of these pots and I cleaned them out. And if you remember, I had that huge Tulsi holy basil. I ripped it out. The only one that I kept was this massive one right in the front just because it's just too beautiful. But I wanted to rip out a few spots because it was just getting to be too much. And I went around and just trimmed everything and I blew everything, you know, leaves and all that stuff. And it just feels so good to get everything cleaned up. So as we walk throughout the garden, you're gonna see everything's just been kind of clean. The aisles are all nice and clean, you know, because you just gotta be careful, especially here with snakes. I just want to be very mindful of keeping the areas clean, but it also just feels really good to clean the garden. So what we're going to do is start over here. We're gonna harvest some peppers and then work our way down over to the tomatoes. Now I will say I try to have flowers on the corners. I want to just point this out to you, and I did do some cleaning. I thankfully still have some dahlias that are growing, but I also have these snapdragons and they're just so beautiful. This white, I think this is the Cosa White. That's what it's called. Isn't that so pretty? And then this one is new too. It's actually called Velvet, which is such a pretty name. It's a very stunning color. I love snapdragons, and I've noticed that volunteer snapdragons come up a lot in my garden because the seed falls. So I am very happy for that. But I did clean these out because I do love seeing flowers for as long as possible before it gets too cold out. And I just wanted to quickly show you those snapdragons. All right, let's go ahead and see if there's any peppers. I do know that this bell pepper, it's kind of tiny, but I know this is ready to be harvested. Let's see if there's anything else. All right, we do have a sweet banana. I do have Joe Numex Parker, but I'm actually gonna wait for these to start blushing first. So I'm gonna hold off on harvesting these. And we do have quite a bit of Italia Peps, but I'm again gonna wait for these to blush as well. Yeah, see, definitely a lot of Italia Peps. I would say Italia Pep is new for me this year. And while I feel like they're taking forever to turn red or to start to blush, they're definitely worth the wait. And I feel like they produced fairly well. And look at that alyssum. I think alyssum was a great companion plant to put on the ends here too. All right, here's that Napoleon Sweet. I think it's so interesting that they curve like this. Now there's another plant on the palette, and I'll show that to you as well. It's longer, but it's really green, but it's curving too. So I find that really interesting. Now here's a bell pepper. This one is not ready, but I think there is one down there. All right, here's one too. You know what? This is still a little hard. I'm gonna give that a little bit more time as well. I can always count on these Hungarian yellow wax. These have been pretty good for me this year, and I'm very grateful for it. Between the sweet banana and this one, I've been very, very pleased. Then here's a Jimmy Nardello. It's blushing, so I'm just gonna take this one too. Now here's a couple of Golden Sunshine, but these are not quite ready. Maybe I'll get these next time. Now, since we're over here, because these starts are by the pepper beds, I just wanted to show you some of them. It's interesting to me because when I was rearranging these and fixing some of them last week, a lot of them didn't really look good. And then you guys, starts just sometimes surprise me, and then they start growing very healthy and beautiful. And then, you know, since gardens are unpredictable, you know, you have squirrel attacks and insect pressure and animal issues or whatever the case may be, it's always nice to have backups, and it's always nice to have backups for your backups. So I just wanted to quickly show this to you because even if a start doesn't look like it's doing well, just leave it. It may surprise you. And friends, look at all the starts in the raised bed, in the wood raised bed. Isn't it beautiful? I am so thrilled and so excited. Now you can see there's been some insect pressure right here. And so what I'll do is just check for, let's see if there's any worms actually, since I'm out here checking just to show you. Oh, see, look at, you see? And I'll just come out and I will just take it off. Bye-bye, sorry guys. And that's what I'll do sometimes. And sometimes that's all I have time for, is to come out here and check for them and just take them off just to make sure that they're okay. Does this bother me as much as the middle part? Not as much. I mean, I don't want to see any insect pressure, but my main focus is this middle part right here. As long as that can keep growing to form a cabbage head, that's all that really matters to me. But like I said, sometimes that's all I have time for, is to come and check for insect pressure, and that's okay. Now, I do want to point out, this is one of the hoops that I bought, and this one is actually my favorite because it is thicker. You can see it's much taller. Now the thinner hoops that you'll see later on in the winter, they're great because you can customize them. They're very bendable. So if you want to, you know, if you have a wider bed or a skinnier bed, that is nice. But I will say these are the most durable, but they both get the job done, and that's what makes me happy. And then the other thing is the watering grid. I will tell you, when I got the water grids for all of my beds, it has saved so much time because I have so many bags and buckets and green stalks I have to get watered. And while I do get help with watering the garden, it is a lot. And so between this, having the water grids, as well as the hoops and everything, it is just a time saver. Now let's go ahead and see if there's any peppers over here. Now I was going to wait and harvest a lot of these Tabasco peppers once they were all turning red, but I think what I'm going to do is at least get all the ones that are really red, and then leave the ones that are like semi-orange, just so that I can keep, oh, I dropped one, just so that I can keep picking them so that they can keep producing peppers. What I will say that I noticed about this bed, because again with our property, it slants down. I noticed that a lot of the peppers are leaning that way because this bed is not. We tried, you can see down here, because we tried digging deep, well not deep, but we tried digging enough for it to nestle itself in there to be even, but it does make it really hard. And I actually just cleaned out some of these beds so that I can push this all the way down so that it was even, because sometimes when the soil was up to here, the grid will be, you know, it'll be hanging like this. And so I had to go around this week. That was part of my cleaning up. I had to go around and fix a lot of the water grids and clean up some of the stuff in here. So I did that for this pepper bed and this pepper bed. And then when we go back there, I'll show you how I clean the tomato plants in the raised beds. But I do notice that about this bed is that it slants. And so that's why a lot of the peppers are just all leaning that way. All right, we do have some cayennes though that I want to keep harvesting. Even if they're not fully red, I do want to make sure that I'm still harvesting. My goal with the red cayennes is to harvest as many as possible. I am just putting them in the freezer, and then what I plan to do is put them in the freeze dryer and just make my own cayenne pepper, like a cayenne powder I should say, and so that way I have it on hand for whenever I need to use it. By the way, friends, if you know of a really good boot, I have such a hard time trying to find good boots. These are from Amazon and they do the job, but they are kind of squeaky. I noticed when I was editing the video last week, it was squeaking and I'm like, oh my goodness, it sounds so silly. And I also bought Hissia boots and they've been pretty good, but I feel like no matter what, friends, I'm always getting water in my boots. So if you have any suggestions for really good garden boots, please leave them in the comments below. And look at this cute pepper. Hello, sweetie pie. This one is definitely ready. Let's take this one. I believe this one is a poblano, but we're not going to take that one. It's definitely not ready. Look at all of those cayennes, friends. They're everywhere. Oh, there's another bell pepper. Hello, cutie. Let's see, are you ready? No, we'll give you a little bit more time. And there's one over there too. Oh, I definitely want to take this mushroom. The kids have been really enjoying this. This is a very sweet pepper, friends. I'm definitely growing this next year. Look at these two peppers. How sweet. I think this one is the one we were looking at last week. And you know what? It is definitely ready to harvest. I have been getting a lot of bell peppers this year and it just makes me so happy. All right, so let's go on this side because it is a little easier to see more of the peppers just because they are leaning. So let me go over here. Now, these have been pretty good. These are the serranos. It doesn't look like we have any to harvest right now. And let's see, there is an Italian pep, but this is definitely not ready to harvest. And then this one, remember this one had all the yellow jalapenos. It's like weighing down because it's so heavy. We do have one. Let's see, you can see they're all right there. It's beautiful. We do have one, so let's go ahead and harvest this one. Although I will say I'm not sure if a bug got to it. I don't know what that is, but I'll check it out in the house. Let's see, and we do have some jalapenos that we can harvest real quick too. I always do well with jalapenos, and what's nice is I don't need a lot of jalapenos because I feel like you can get so much just from 1 or 2 plants. Now let's check out the palette of peppers. So remember I said that there was a Napoleon sweet over here? You see how this one's curling? It's bigger, it's green, but you see how that's curling? I just find that to be so interesting. Now I'm wanting to take it, but I also want it to turn red a little bit, or at least start to, you know what, I'm going to wait a little bit on this one. And then this one is definitely the poblano. You can tell because it's got a kind of a waxy, some of the labels are kind of wearing out, although I can't see this one for the poblano, but you can tell because of the waxy coating, but these are not ready to harvest. Now I did see a shishito, if I can say that, shishito. So we'll harvest this one. Look at this one, friends. Look at you. So this is the golden sunshine. I want to say, let me me think here. Yeah, you know what? We're going to harvest this one because there's another one right there too. And this one feels like it's pretty, like it's good. So we're going to take that one too. So we do have some Anaheim chilies, but I want this to get a little bit longer, so we're not going to harvest that one. And we do have some Hungarian yellow wax, but I'm going to wait on this one as well. And then there's those mystery peppers again. You guys are quite silly. I wish I knew who you were, or what you were. I mean, who you were, listen to me. What you were, but I'm not going to harvest these right now. This is a 1 gallon grow bag, friends, and look at all the little jalapenos that are growing off of this. You got little baby ones right here. And actually, I know this one is ready to harvest because it's got those like stretch lines, which means it's hot. At least that's what my mother-in-law said. So that one looks like it got bit. This one looks pretty big. Let's try it. Yeah, this one definitely needs to be harvested. Pretty good for a gallon grow bag. Not so bad. And here's another one, but I think I'm gonna hold off on that. And look at all of those flower buds. I think, if I'm correct, yeah, I think that is the Serrano. I see a bug on a pepper. I think those are the Serranos, so I'm just gonna hold off on those. I do have a lot in my freezer. I'm hoping to make a salsa out of that this winter. And then these are more those lemon jalapenos. You can see they're just all over the place. And then earlier I was actually out here looking. This one actually came off. I'm not really sure how that happened, but it's a golden sunshine, so we're gonna take this one as well. And then there's actually some more shishitos, so we're gonna grab these as well. These are always good for me. I really enjoy these. Especially over on Instagram, I actually put a little picture of me sauteing a bunch of the peppers in the oven on a cast iron, and then I sauteed some onions because we made some steaks, you guys. It was so delicious, and I love being able to do that and just have a nice meal at home. Here's the mullein. Hello, sweet girl. You're so pretty. I can't wait for this to grow tall next year. That lemon balm back there is doing really good as well. In fact, I had 2 of these pots. This one was kind of getting hidden, so I put it right over here and just kind of touched up the pots on the corner. So a lot of the corner pots that I have gathered like that is really for flowers because I want it to look pretty for the garden, just like the corner ones over here, and also the other corners throughout the garden. But this one was kind of getting stuck being shaded, so I just put it over there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with these. I did have some peonies in, I think these are fine, but there was some peonies, you guys, I planted some peonies a couple of like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I can't remember now, I'm starting to forget, and really not much came of it, but the roots are looking good still, so I just kept them in there in hopes that maybe next year they'll come out. As far as updates with this, so I pretty much planted this not too long ago, so they're still growing. Now I will say this about the Dollar Tree trash cans. So like for instance, this is okay because it still hasn't gotten too tall, but if you remember the collard that I showed you out of the green stalk, you can see it's already hitting the top of this. So what I might do, and I'm not sure, I'm kind of talking out loud with you guys right now, what I might do, especially because I have the trellis here and I have bamboo sticks, I may put frost covers over all of these buckets and grow individual broccoli and collards and so forth, and do it that way, because obviously at some point I'm gonna have to take that off because it needs room to grow. But I know with all those squirrels back there, I mean, they're having a heyday. In fact, my one little Brussels sprout back there, they ate it, and I don't know why I didn't cover it with a can, because I always get sidetracked with other stuff, especially because it's garlic planting. But you can see right there, they attacked it right here. Now the middle is still intact, so I might go over there and just put a trash can over it to protect it. I do have other Brussels sprout starts I could put in there in place of it, so I might do that as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something with the other ones. Now I do have frost covers that I pre-cut for all these pallets, or I think all of these. I might have added 1 or 2 more. Can't remember, but I did pre-cut. So again, as far as the winter is concerned, I am going to be putting some frost covers over a few beds and maybe even over a few buckets and some pallets. I just haven't figured out exactly which ones yet, but they do work. and they are extremely helpful. You know what, since we're back here, let's just go ahead and see if there's any green beans, because I know there's not gonna be a lot, and I still have to add straw to these bags. I still haven't had a chance to do that because I've been ultra focused on the garlic and setting some stuff up, and I just haven't had a chance. But look at, you can see this one, this green bean plant got eaten by a squirrel for sure. Typically I notice with the green bean plants, you guys, they don't really bother those too much. They love the cabbage and the broccoli and things like that more in my experience. That's what I've seen anyways. But from time to time, they do like to chomp on these plants. You can see back here, I do have a lot of spots to plant stuff, so I more than likely will at least cover these two with some sort of a cover or frost cover, especially because it's right here by the entrance of my garden. And then also, for instance, I'm back here, do you see how everything's cleaned up? I had to come back here and blow a lot of leaves and some of the pine straw from the trees because I just, you know, I don't want any hiding spots for snakes. And so for me, it's really important. You can see the whole little aisle's all nice and clean. Everything's clean. I just don't want anything to happen to me or my older daughter, because she does help me water. I just don't want anything to happen to her or myself. And then here's a great example of squirrels. You see that? Digging through my soil. You'll see, I'll show you the lettuce. They were digging, they won't eat the lettuce, but they're digging through my soil. By the way, I am rooting for these Napa cabbages. I've always had a hard time, and I notice that the pallets back here do exceptionally well with certain plants that I have a hard time with, and that's because I think between the shade of these trees, but then you can see the open sky here, they do get a lot of sun, but they're also shaded. And so I think that's why the Napa cabbage is doing pretty good, and I'm so hoping that I get at least one of these before winter or during the winter time. All right, I was able to harvest as many green beans from all of these. There's actually still a lot of little buds, so I'll probably still be getting a lot more in the weeks to come. And friends, look at this spinach. I need to come out here and harvest this soon and think of like a little small meal or something to add it to, because I like to pick it fresh and then eat it right away. But I'm really excited to see this. I've always had a hard time growing spinach. Okay, before we go over and grab the cucumber, and then I want to go and harvest as many tomatoes as possible. I did, like I've shared before, I've left a couple of tomato plants in these buckets. They look like sticks, but then the tops are growing really nice. We actually have been harvesting a little bit from these in the last couple of videos, but you can see there's still some tomatoes, and because I'm not really doing anything with this trellis right now, I'm letting them grow. I saw this and I wanted to show it to you, and we actually have another tomato, so I wanted to grab this, but I also wanted to share that they are growing very well on here, and I'm glad that I left them in the buckets. Here's a prime example. So these starts, these are the Monty F1s. Something came over here and they ate them. This was not like this yesterday. Look at this. Look at that. They ate them. Oh my god. Look at these little buggers. Okay, I'm gonna have to get an insect cover for this. So what I'm probably gonna have to do, and I'm talking out loud now, is this one obviously is not gonna, that one's gonna have to be pulled out. But sometimes if they didn't get the middle parts, you can see the middle, maybe this one's a goner. But okay, here's a good example. So like this one, where it still has the middle, is still okay. But where they chomp down in the middle, it's a goner. Now, interesting, they didn't get up here, but it is pretty high up here. So I can see why, although this one is chomped on. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at that. Hey, look, see, I'm glad this happened and I'm showing it on camera, because this is what happens. And this is a great example of why I have backups with starts. So what I'm probably going to do, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take those out and put some new starts in there, and then I'm gonna go and get an insect cover, and I'm going to cover this to protect it. All right, before I forget, that cucumber has been there for a while. It is not growing any bigger, but it does look good. So I'm actually going to harvest that right now and just bring it inside. Now there is this cucumber plant right here, or cucumber plant. There's a cucumber right here, and then I do have one in there. They're not really growing very large, but again, I'm not in a rush to get them out, so we'll just see if they continue to grow. But you can see that there's new growth, and it seems like there's new growth all the time. And again, I'm just letting them chill here because I just don't have to pull them out. All right, friends, well, look at that. I'm harvesting cucumbers in October. It looks pretty good. There's no holes. I'm sure this is going to be delicious. Something that still amazes me is this massive cherry tomato plant. Look, it has literally grown all the way in here in the tunnel with my trellis tunnel. There you go, my trellis tunnel. And I'm gonna let this grow all the way until it can't grow anymore. It has just gotten so massive. I had to really clean up right here and kind of push everything over as best as I could without breaking any of the branches. But you guys, this is really massive. And I also want to show this side too. I want to make sure that I'm showing both sides of the buckets and this newer trellis system that we had put, or my husband had built. But you can see this is still definitely going to seed. It has that long stalk in the middle, and that's fine because whenever something goes to seed here in your climate, it gets more acclimated to your climate. So I do love to save seed. But again, this also tells you that fall time can be a hit or miss depending on your zone. I know we're still getting 70 to 80 degree days, so it is definitely a hit or miss. And then speaking of lettuce, you can see a lot of the squirrels that have been just making holes in here. They're not eating the lettuce, which is kind of funny to me, but they're digging holes. And I think this one actually too might be going to seed, and that's fine. I'm actually fine with that because I do have some lettuce that is growing really nicely, and I'll just take what I can get. And then you guys, oh my goodness, I didn't even see this. Look at this. I got a snap pea. Hi, sweetie pie. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have this. I am so excited. I didn't even know that was there because I've been so busy with other stuff. We got our first snap pea for the fall, guys. And here's another one, but I'm not going to take this one. I am so excited. And then we also have snap peas on the trellising system over there. Hopefully we can go over there and check that out before it gets too dark. And for the rest of the buckets over here, I still have some of the plants that I newly planted. And then you guys, look at all those tomatoes. So hopefully those will turn red or start to blush next time. These bags back here are also doing really good, but I just noticed this one definitely got attacked by insect pressure, and I was looking at the middle, and that's definitely a goner, so I'm gonna have to replace that one. But for the most part, I think everything else is doing good. And again, that's what happens. You're definitely taking a chance with your fall garden, like I said, depending on the zone that you're living in. But with that being said, you guys, we do have a Martha F1. Look at this little beauty. We're going to take you, and hopefully we'll get some more Martha F1 tomatoes before the frost happens. And you know what? I don't really talk about the carrots as much, but so far they're doing really good. They're germinating really good. I noticed some varieties are doing a little bit better than others. So I might come and replant, because if I don't get any for the fall or winter, they will definitely sprout out for the spring. But all of these are different varieties. You can see every tag represents a different variety. And then what I did was I planted that whole row, this variety, and so forth all the way down. All right, now for all of these tomatoes. So there's actually not going to be a ton to harvest because I did just harvest a couple with you last time. But one thing I do want to point out to you is these aisles and down below was just had a lot of debris, and I had to make sure that it wasn't covering the grid. So I came in here earlier this week and I did a major cleanup. Plus what I did was I picked up a lot of the branches that were overflowing and I stuck them up on the bamboo sticks so that it was just easy for me to walk in and through some of these aisles, because things were just, I mean, they were hanging everywhere. But look at all the tomatoes. So there's a lot of tomatoes growing, and we're just going to go ahead and harvest as much as we can right now. Yeah, there's some more. I just wanted to show you guys because there's just a lot of green tomatoes everywhere. And again, if they don't turn blush, but we're expected to get a frost, I'll just come out here and harvest all the green ones. This one is one of our favorites. It produces very well. I think this is the Sunray. It is just a burst of flavor, friends. All right, so I got as many tomatoes as I could, but there are, like I said, a lot of green clusters. And I also just wanted to quickly show you too how I cleaned everything up, because with the water grids, you don't want anything covering them, so the water can flow freely through the soil and into the bed. But it is kind of funny to see just like tomato sticks, and then you have all these tomatoes and beautiful green leaves on top with flowers growing. It is kind of funny to me. But I am really happy that I got in here and I cleaned everything, and I can't wait to, like I said, I can't wait to harvest all these other tomatoes as they continue to grow. And here's some more out of the grow bags. So these grow bags have just tomatoes. I actually pulled all the basil out that was in there, so now it is just tomatoes. And more than likely, now that I think about it, probably the same thing that I did in those back bags. I'll probably come in the middle here and plant something and put a little Dollar Tree trash can over the top so that we can have something growing right there in the middle. Oh, and friends, I wanted to show this to you. Look at how beautiful this tomato is. I was so happy to see this. And then there's another one right here, and there's actually one next to it. I just realized, look at, I don't know if you can see that right there. It's kind of tall. For me, I'm on my tippy toes, but I just wanted to show that to you real quick. Now for the last little bit that I wanted to show you, first of all, let's go ahead and see if there's actually any peppers in here, because I know last time there was some peppers that looked like maybe next time we would harvest. So here's a Jimmy Nardello, definitely not ready to harvest. And I think this one looks like a bell pepper, but it looks kind of funny, it's long. I'm not sure which one this one is. So I'm gonna keep that there for a hot second. Let's see if there's any others. I think there is this one. Oh, this is an Anaheim. We could definitely harvest this one. And then there is some poblanos, but I'm not going to harvest these yet because they're still small. That one is definitely a Santa Fe, but looks like something bit it. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it there in case they want to snack on that instead of something else. And then this one, let's go ahead and harvest this one too. These definitely have to be sweet banana or Hungarian yellow wax. So let's go ahead and grab these two. And we got shishitos too. And then look at you guys, I didn't see these were there either. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go ahead. Let's just take these two. Here's my other green stalk back here. I actually just added a few starts in here last night, just a few more because some weren't doing so well. I'm gonna have to actually ask if green stalk has a 3-tier green frost cover, because that would be really nice actually to have. Let me see, I think there was another green bean here. Yeah, because I saw them last night and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna harvest them until I harvest them with my friends. So I left them here to harvest with you guys. And I think that's it. Let's check. Yep, that's it. And since we're over here, these are doing really good. I did plant some starts in the middle last time you saw, and everything is growing really good. I'm grateful that the squirrels haven't come over here, and the sweet peas are doing really good. There's that Pablo lettuce. It's doing so good. I hope that this heads, because you guys, it was such, like I said last time, it is such a beautiful purple and green colored head of lettuce. And when I saw that picture, I'm like, I need to grow it. So hopefully that will grow into a head, but everything is doing really good. And I came over here and I cleaned out all the zinnias. I saved all the heads for seed, but I did leave the leeks in here because sometimes what happens is you plant, like for me anyways, I planted leeks with the flowers. The flowers overpowered, so some of them didn't grow all the way. And because they still could have some more time, I'm just gonna leave them in there and see what happens, and then probably plant something in the middle. And I did it for this last one too. Now, I may get one more of these trellises and put that in there. I'm not sure yet. I may or may not, I don't know, but I did clean it out and I do plan to plant something in the very middle. All right, let's look at the trellising system, because this actually is meant for snap peas. Now I did use it for cherry tomatoes over the summer. I do like it and I'm very grateful my husband supported it in the ground. Now, I'm still experimenting with bags as opposed to maybe like a little mini raised bed around it. I'm not really sure, but so far I'm really liking it. The lettuce is doing pretty good for the most part. It is a hit or miss because of the weather, but this one seems to be doing really good. Hopefully that will head when it starts to get a little bit more cooler out. But we are getting some flowers on the snap peas. You can see I can't wait to start harvesting some snap peas, but so far I'm really liking it, and it looks like everything is growing pretty good. All right, the last thing I want to share with you all are the green stalks. So we did finally fill them, and actually last night I just not only finished filming how I planted one tier, but I planted the blueberry and the terracotta full of different varieties of garlic. Now the reason they're still on the floor and they're not, or on the ground and they're not on there, is because my husband still has to level these, and then we'll be putting them on top of there. Now the purple one, the blackberry, that is actually meant for onion starts, but because I don't put my onion starts in until March-ish, I'm probably going to be planting either broccoli, kale, or some cold hardy plant. And I have to make sure I have enough frost covers because I'm going to need to put one over this because of these squirrels back here. So this one is not planted yet, but we do have the garlic in here as well as here. And then I have 4 green stalks for garlic on the driveway. The other thing too is I'm actually going to do a little bit of research and just see what companion plants are good with garlic, and I might stick some garlic throughout the garden in beds or bags. I haven't made up my mind yet because I did overbuy garlic like I always do. And I'll probably, I don't know, I haven't figured it out entirely, but I think I may put them in certain spots throughout the garden just to kind of use as companions and test them out. Friends, I don't know if you can hear that. There was like a little squirrel fight back there, and it kind of startled me because they were so loud. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're probably fighting over nuts or something. I don't know, but it was quite loud. These squirrels, man, they crack me up, but they aggravate me at the same time. Hold on, I think I see him. Look at. Okay, maybe you can't see it. I could see its tail, but you hear him bickering? What do you guys gotta bicker about? You hear him? He's like waving his tail over there. They're mad about something. Oh my gosh, look at it. They crack me up, guys. All right, friends, let's go ahead and see what we harvested this week. All right, so we got some more tomatoes, we got some more peppers, and a little bit of green beans and a cucumber. So over here's the tomatoes. We got some hot peppers right here in the middle, and then we have some non-hot peppers with a few cherry tomatoes over on the other end. I'm just so grateful that I'm still harvesting some fresh food from my backyard. And these extra peppers, if we don't eat them fresh, like I've shared before, I will freeze dry them so that I can use them throughout some meals in the winter time and later on in the fall time. But overall, friends, I'm just very blessed and so excited that every week I have been able to harvest something in my backyard, which is one of the reasons why I do weekly garden tours and harvest, because my goal is to be able to pick fresh produce from my backyard without having to go to the grocery store. And then of course some green beans and our little first snap pea, and then we have a little cucumber. It may be our last cucumber for the year, but for getting a cucumber in October, I'm very happy and I'll take it. So overall, very excited about the harvest. So friends, thanks so much for stopping by another week and walking through the garden and harvesting with me. I look forward to doing these videos every week, and I want you to know how much I appreciate every single one of you. And remember this, friends, I want you to be encouraged, stay encouraged, and always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.